The year is 1979. Memorable events include the Iranian Revolution, the energy crisis, and in Dubai, the opening of this, the World Trade Center, the city's first high-rise building. The tower was commissioned by Sheikh Rashid and inaugurated by Queen Elizabeth on her first trip to the Gulf. Its purpose, an exhibition and office space to attract the biggest names in international business to the then little-known emirate. The Trade Centre's first employee was Guy Gilmar. He went on to become director of the building. But despite a successful launch, the tower had its critics.
There were people who simply said, it is in a crazy place. The heart of Dubai is Deira by the creek, you know, some kilometers away. This was, to most people, out in the middle of the desert. They also said, why would you build such a tall building when you're in the open area? And it's probably unsafe because it's only sand below you and it could sink. And indeed, the Trade Center might, you know, not survive. There were those who felt that the exhibition business was not going to work here. There were competitive cities which were larger, richer, and already more established.
But the World Trade Center developed along a stretch of road that would eventually become the heart of the city. The way people did business began to change.
The average company had a little old villa converted into an office. We brought in a bank. We had our own little post office. We had courier desks. We had a complex of serviced offices for I think perhaps the first in the Middle East, where you could start with just one person. And we provided the secretarial services, the Arabic translation services, and those sorts of things. So miraculously, some people thought, this biggest white elephant between Mumbai and Athens suddenly became full of top quality companies. And we were 98% within a year and a half.
The World Trade Center is now recognized as a symbol of the city's entrepreneurial spirit, even featuring on the United Arab Emirates 100 dirham banknote. These days it's home to Dubai's financial market, the foreign consulates of Italy, Switzerland and Turkey, and a handful of big multinational companies. Maurice Williams heads up operations for General Motors' Middle East branch. It's been based in the Trade Center since the early 1990s. So considering Dubai's wealth of newer and glitzier buildings, what keeps GM from relocating?
When people ask you where your office is, you don't have to try to explain, well, it's right next to this and it's right over here and you know, between this and this and that and the other. You just say, hey, I work in the Dubai World Trade Center building. Now, oh, you know, and it commands a little respect, actually.
The man tasked with keeping those clients coming in is Issam Kazim. He says despite the building's age, there's a very modern selling point.
The design of the building and the way the windows were created, the windowsills were created, they were made in a way to keep shades so the sun doesn't directly enter the windows, i.e. keeping the heat levels quite low. And now when people look at it, and they actually say that it's well ahead of its time in terms of its architecture and engineering.
So showers of praise from those who work inside the building. But what do people on the street make of it?
When I came here in 1997, that building was amazing. It was really tall, stood out beyond belief compared to the rest of the buildings. Over the last 10 years, it seems to have faded into insignificance, really, and at the moment it looks fairly dated and old compared to the new buildings in the area.
I think this building, if this area is one, is amazing building. Beautiful and amazing.
Maybe at that time it was the building, but right now I don't think it really fits with the rest of the building right now.
It signifies a growth of a country. It signifies a risk-taking ability of this country to develop it, you know, and go beyond.
And perhaps this week's announcement that Dubai will host the World Expo in 2020 shows that the first exhibition space is continuing to leave its mark on the city.